Oh man, I just finished a 12-hour drive from Montreal, and I'm feeling super fucking dead in the head.
Do you feel loopy?
Yeah, I feel loopy.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what would potentially help this loopy feeling I have?
What's that?
If I got a head transplant.
Is that a thing?
Well,
Guys, this seems really rehearsed. Did you guys do this before?
This is like the fifth take. So.
Well, head transplant surgeon, which we've talked about this fucking weird quack before. He claims human brain transplants are technically feasible.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I know we've talked about this in the past.
This is the guy. This is the neurosurgeon Sergio Canavero, the guy who had planned to do a full body transplant.
Am I making this shit? Am I making this shit up? I thought
Do you not remember this?
I'm remembering that we talked about this once before, but I'm also
remembering
misremembering that there was a Russian dude who had a thing, a head transplant.
This is so separate thing. So same doctor, right?
No.
There was the crazy doctor guy, and he was like, "Yo, sir, from Russia, you have a degenerative like ALS type disease. It wasn't ALS, but it was something like that.
Like you have a fatal illness, or
your body's
disease.
shutting down. Your brain's going to be good, but your body's just going to fail and you're going to die." And he was like, "Look, I bet you that I can take your head off and transplant it onto another human body, and I guarantee it'll work." And the Russian guy was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, let's do it." And then the entire world of science was like, "Fuck no, dude, you can't." And he was like, "I swear, I feel like I know how to do this," because he, I don't know, he like whipped it up in his head.
But he's a surgeon. Like he is a surgeon.
He is. But he's questionable.
Okay, so wait. We talked before about doing a full body transplant.
Well,
now we're talking about a head transplant.
Well,
Isn't it the
same? It's the same thing. I mean, technically,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. But this guy, so this is different. He's
Like
talking
a glass half full.
He's not
sort of
talking about
deal.
a head transplant. He's now talking brain transplant.
Okay.
So take Brian's brain, take mine out, put Brian's brain in my head, transplant. Okay,
You know what?
not head, but the actual matter inside the head.
You know what's funny that I think of this?
Also crazy.
I think,
But we
that-
kind of need to
but-
be explained about why it's crazy because
No,
you can do a heart and you can
That's
do
what I was gonna
lungs
say.
and you can do that shit. But
I
like
mean,
there's
yeah.
obvious. I mean, I think it has to do with the
I
central.
mean, it's
nervous
crazy
system.
that we can do those.
Has to do. Of course it is, but it has. I'm assuming it has to do with the central nervous system and how
No,
hard it is
no.
to connect the brain to a central.
This is
nervous
my,
system.
but my point is that
I'm making assumptions.
the
obviously.
fact that when I imagine transplanting lungs, I imagine that there's a bunch of like vessels and all these like little things you have to connect. I mean, a double lung transplant takes like 8 hours, so it's obviously difficult to cut somebody open, pull those things out, and then plug in the new ones so that they work. So when you talk about doing a head transplant,
brain transplant.
or brain transplant, I imagine. Why would you imagine that it's any more or less difficult?
probably because of the
then-
spinal cord and the nervous system.
Maybe, but like
We
you
also-
can also agree that like it would not be hard to imagine that it could be possible
Yeah, but
based
this is
on
the
the
same
other
conversation we had last week about the
Yeah.
blood thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, we're like, oh, why can't you get all the information that you need from a drop of blood? And why is Elizabeth Holmes in jail? And it's like, well, people who study this shit know why.
We also don't
We
know.
don't.
We also don't know shit about the brain, really. Like even
Yeah.
the people that know shit about the brain are
Don't
like, we
really
don't
know.
really fucking know.
Yeah.
So anyway, controversial neurosurgeon Sergio Canavero, who claims in a recent article that it could be technically feasible. I mean, he's just saying, look, you know what? Fair dinkum, technically feasible.
Fair what?
Fair dinkum.
Did you just what? Did you just have a stroke?
Well, that is a Australian.
It is?
Yeah, fair
I didn't
dinkum.
know that.
Technically feasible to stave off aging by simply scooping out a person's brain and plopping it into a younger, more agile body. The article called "Whole Brain Transplantation in Man Technically Feasible" was published in Surgical Neurology International (SNI), a peer-reviewed journal where Canavero serves as an editor.
Oh, okay.
If this procedure is ringing any bells, it may be because Canavero put forward a similar idea in 2015 that proposed a full head transplant, and the claim was completely bombastic and highly controversial. And when he later said he had found a volunteer to undergo the procedure, it became international news, which is what we covered in the past.
You know what's really funny is like the difference between a head transplant and a brain transplant don't really seem that different to me because like most of like
The brain
crucial,
is the part.
right.
Yeah.
So like
Part.
Yeah.
and especially like all the other things that are in your head, like your eyeballs and your mouth, your tongue, your nose and stuff, like they're already there plugged into the brain. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so like then you
So
just
like
gotta,
a head transplant's pretty plug and play.
Yeah.
as much as
yeah.
a brain transplant would be.
Yeah, they're both kind of wild. So Canavero told Motherboard in an email that head transplants work and that his previous work was just a stepping stone to brain transplant. So he was going, look, head transplant,
Right.
I needed that to walk so brain transplants could run. Like
But he's moving on to brain transplants before having ever performed the head transplant.
I mean, he's performed all this in his own head. Like it's all he's probably performed on it. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this guy took a monkey head and put it on a dog's body.
Maybe he could. Dude, you know what? If he's super unethical, he might be buying prisoners.
I just want to say
Here's a
that-
photo of the guy. That guy looks like he's doing that shit.
He looks
He looks like a Batman villain.
well. If he didn't have his hands up around his neck, he would look pretty normal. But he looks evil.
He's showing
Yeah,
where he's
I
going to
mean-
insert the fucking scalpel.
for those people who are just listening, we're basically looking at a profile photo of his head where he's got his chin tilted up to this guy's head tilted back.
He looks
His
like
mouth
Bane
wide
without the
open.
mask and with some nerdy glasses.
He's got there's a black background, like pure black background. He's lit with a light and he's got a bald head with these like circular
you can
glasses.
tell Brian has accessibility in mind. when we're doing the show.
So
That's
he
good.
said
That's a good thing.
he said a human head transplant was the intermediate step towards a brain transplant. And since the latter is considered impossible, I decided to focus on HT, head transplant, which is far simpler, he says. However, although I can tell you HT works, unfortunately, it does not rejuvenate head tissue, including the eyes. BT, brain transplant, is the only option, he's saying. So Canavero's claims regarding head transplants have been difficult to verify. In 2017, SNI published work by Canavero and Chinese colleague Xiaoping Ren, who is also on SNI's editorial board, reporting a head transplant rehearsal with human cadavers, a live volunteer subject, a Russian man with the genetic degenerative muscle atrophying disease, pulled out of the planned procedure in 2019. And also in that year, SNI published work by Canavero and Ren claiming to report successful spinal cord repair in animals. So they're not only are they whipping up the ideas, they are like doing things.
But the thing is that why are they not? I mean, if this guy sounds very convinced about
It's
it,
very, very,
so
very, yeah.
so he's either crazy or he's done it on an animal.
Yeah, well,
Because there's no way that a practicing surgeon can think that you can do something without successfully doing it on a species, on some species.
Yeah.
if I recall, I may have watched too many sci-fi movies in the last year, but I think he did it with a monkey. The the HT.
I mean, that's pretty close to us.
I just want to say, guys,
Now I don't know.
Well, he's
Is that
basically
monkey
saying
still
what-
alive? I don't know. Like, did he just do it with a monkey cadaver and go, this should work? Like,
Well, no, they're saying they're doing it on human cadavers. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't do it on a human cadaver and just go, theoretically, if this person had been alive, then it would
yeah,
have
because
worked.
at that point you're just playing Mr. Potato Head with human
Right.
parts.
Yeah.
I don't know but why wouldn't you do that? That would make sense to do it on a human cadaver.
No, I just mean that you
You can't test it.
but you can't test whether it works or not. It
I-
needs to be done on some.
But he
something that's
might
alive.
he might as well be Dr. Frankenstein. Like
guys-
I feel like this
yeah,
guy
yeah.
is just like he's working on the cadavers. He goes down into a basement. He lays the cadaver on a slab, and then he has it attached to some sort of rod that's like drawing in lightning, and it's like the place is dark and dank and wet for some reason.
so wet.
You know, like,
it's so
like
wet.
this guy is Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Wait,
I-
Brian,
2023.
what are you confused about?
no, I'm just saying that if you did it on a dead human cadaver,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that there would be a way to the way you
Hydraulics.
plug a couple cords into a
Yeah,
battery to
dude.
test to see if it was
Yeah.
working or something. Or
Yeah,
like,
you just plug it with hydraulic fluid and
yeah, just test it.
Yeah, well,
I
here's-
mean,
here's-
it will
here's-
give you a
here's-
good idea if it
Here's
works.
an
or not.
issue. Here's an issue that I foresee.
fuck.
Being the biggest problem, which is what I said at the beginning, is your spinal cord. Someone severs their spinal cord, they never walk again. We don't have a solution for somebody who has that problem, except Neuralink is working on it. But We don't have a solution, a surgical solution for that.
We do.
So this guy's saying that he has a surgical solution.
Exactly.
That isn't just going to solve. That isn't going to solve something that's never been done before in science and medicine, which is transplanting a head or a brain. But it's also would be the solution. Like he would have the solution in his hands for repairing a severed spinal cord.
But he said that he did that successfully in a animal specimen.
Yeah, but you could reattach a severed spinal cord. It just won't work afterwards.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it
But
did work.
but this so
Brian's really going to bat for this
Yeah.
guy.
I'm just saying, guys, we don't get anywhere in life shitting on innovation. This guy's
That's
this
right.
guy.
that's right.
He's a
is-
disruptor.
Yeah.
He is. He's a thought entrepreneur. But this guy's focus on BT isn't about like repairing degenerative disease in that sense. I think he's more so on like the transhumanism, like life extension,
Sure.
the what's the elixir of what's the fountain of youth.
Yeah,
like he's
yeah,
like this
yeah.
guy's like on that train right now.
You know what though? Honestly, a brain transplant.
Young blood,
would,
you know,
a brain transplant, a BT would actually
adrenochrome.
be
Adrenochrome.
super easy. BT must be easy because you have something called the brain stem where everything is connected. So you just unplug that and then plug in the other one,
When you explain it that way, it makes
100%.
way
Yeah,
more
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
right? And you know what? I think he was.
You know what,
saying-
Brian? You're right.
He was
Yeah,
saying-
dude.
He was
This
saying
is it.
essentially what I was saying earlier, which
This
he,
guy.
I mean, he was saying that you basically have to. He was like the head transplant. That's easy shit. The brain transplant is much more difficult.
Yeah.
But then he forgot that there's the stem, and then he realized he
Yeah.
could just plug it in,
Yeah.
and it's good now.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
We really launched right into that right from the beginning. I feel like we barely even said anything before we were talking about head transplants.
we didn't, and that's right, because I'm
Okay.
tired.
Okay.
That's actually the
Um,
new way to increase engagement
That's
on
it.
YouTube.
Get
Like
right
just
into
get
it.
straight
Get
into
right
the
into it.
content.
Do you guys want to hear something kind of annoying? Like, I was gonna say scary, but it's not really scary. It's just fucking. Well, it's probably scary to some, depending on where you live. But for me, it's annoying.
flash flooding.
Super mosquitoes have now mutated to withstand insecticides. Such a bummer.
That's pretty bad news.
I'm not really
Bad news.
that bothered by it because I don't really use bug spray, but I never get bit.
Oh, dude, I cover myself in the DEET, like the deetiest DEET.
Yeah, I don't.
80% DEET
You
or
ruin-
none.
You're
don't
an
put,
environmental ruiner.
I'd rather protect my skin from getting bit. The
And get
ozone layer's
cancer.
already fucked.
The
No, it's
ozone
not
layer is
anymore.
actually not.
Oh,
at all.
it's fixing itself. Is that,
It's
is that
actually
right?
been fixing itself for like 30 years.
No.
and
I read a thing. The ozone layer just recently. They were like, fuck, the ozone's back.
No.
Dude,
It's been on the mend for
No.
many decades, and it's going to complete its.
Oh, is that what it was?
repair.
It was like, it's almost there.
Not
Yes.
according to the World Economic Forum.
I think what?
I'm
Oh
just saying
yeah,
that-
it says the ozone layer is on track to recover within decades. That's still a long time. So
I
anyway,
don't think so for the ozone layer. but
well, I don't have decades, so cover me in DEET.
You
all
might,
right?
though.
I'll drink the shit.
Actually, if the
you
if
might
the,
though.
if the-
Decades? I don't know.
if the ozone layer is getting better, then you're actually probably good on using the DEET.
Thanks. So one of the most vilified pest species on the planet continues to outsmart ways in which humans attempt to get rid of them. Super mosquitoes have evolved to withstand insecticides, according to new research. And the most sobering finding is the high rate in which the species is known for carrying disease that has developed mutations. So as annoying as this is for me, it's actually quite scary for a lot of people in the world because, as we all know, I believe it's malaria is one of the highest killers of
Of humans
the
ever.
history of humans.
It's killed the most
Yeah.
humans ever
Uh,
in history.
Researchers at the National Institute of Infectious Diseases in Japan studied mosquitoes in dengue endemic areas in Vietnam and Cambodia and found that they harbor mutations that endow them to strong resistance to common insecticides, according to a study published in Science Advances last Wednesday.
That's a real bummer. I mean, like malaria. We have a privilege beyond privilege that Canada does not have malaria. That like basically North America does not have malaria. There might be some in Mexico, maybe southern Mexico, but I'm not sure about that.
And not just malaria too, but like you got like dengue fever, yellow fever, Zika,
West
yeah.
Nile.
West Nile.
Zika is like a big issue for Kyle and I right now because of fucking trying to.
But Zika, right? Zika came up this way, didn't it?
Shit, I thought your daughter was named Zika. It's Zaya.
It's Zaya, yeah.
Fuck, yeah.
We were gonna name her Zika, and then we remembered the
virus.
The virus, yeah.
So you're like, what's close to that?
Zika is a fucking cool name, though.
It's kind of cool. Yeah,
it is cool.
I do
Yeah.
like it.
And so there are lots of things, but malaria by far. I mean, if malaria just like broadened its borders, that would be very bad.
Well, with these super mosquitoes.
Well, you know what? What's interesting is that I don't know how bad it would be because the place where it exists is the place where there are the fewest medicines, which is in Central Africa. But in like here we have like readily available medicines, but also, you know, if all of a sudden the entire population was looking for malaria medication, I'm not sure how that would play out. Like, because I think it might be sort of similar to like COVID and being like, holy shit, all of a sudden everybody needs this medication. And that's really hard.
Yeah.
Then you'd hear people getting mad about the supply chain.
Yeah, people would be very upset about the supply chain.
Yeah.
This is off topic, but it's kind of in a similar sort of thing, which something that I heard the other day from what's his name?
Joe Rogan.
It was on Rogan. What's his name?
Brett Weinstein.
Yes, it was Brett Weinstein. And which like he kind of he was somebody that when I first heard him, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's got some good shit to say. And then he was like, oh, he got some weird shit to say.
Dude, he's got lots of weird shit to say.
No, I know, but he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that I like, you know, I listen to very skeptically, but listen to him nonetheless. And they were talking about something that had come up in one that I think Brett Weinstein had been saying, and then was really denounced for, and then it was like, you know, one of those things like the lab leak theory that people basically said like, you guys are all quacks for this, and then became like pretty like normal circulating theories that were published in, you know, New York Times, Washington Post, and something.
Yeah.
And they were talking about a vaccine, the difference between a vaccine being introduced pre-pandemic, mid-pandemic, and post-pandemic, and how when you introduce a vaccine pre-pandemic, it like has you immunize people, and that you like create a protection and like this kind of force field around the population. And then when you vaccinate post-pandemic, like once it has settled itself, you sort of do the same thing for, you know, future, like the current population.
Like polio vaccine that like our parents had.
Yeah. And they were saying that like this was because we were like unprepared for COVID and we didn't have a vaccine. I mean, obviously for a new vaccine, or sorry, for a new virus.
Some might say novel.
Some might say novel.
Depending if they know what novel means.
Which means new and exciting. Fun and exciting. And this was like something that I had never really thought about, but when they said it, and they were talking about this article that had been written in the Washington Post recently by a science journalist there about when you vaccinate mid-pandemic, it's sort of like, because the virus is like still ripping around populations, and you try to introduce something to fight it, you basically like give it like a force to push back against, which,
right, like a way to evolve.
Yeah,
yeah.
You sort of like introduce the like
catalyst,
the catalyst for it to evolve and just variants and all that stuff. Which I was like, oh, that's fucking.
I think it, like, speaking of evolution, like I just think it's so wild to. I mean, I guess it's natural, like it's a natural process, but isn't it kind of crazy to think that like mosquitoes are now evolving to like basically just instinctively avoid our attempts to eradicate them? Like, it's like a mosquito too. Like, it's just, they're the dumbest.
But is it?
Like, mosquitoes are so dumb.
But that's why they're so good at it.
But
because
they just go,
because they have one function.
I will not eat lick that yucky substance that is on the plant. And they're like,
But this is an interesting, like
Don't
from a
suck
lay
the blood
person's
of the rats that they've given the rat poison to.
They just know.
from a lay person's perspective, like
Are you lay?
yeah, I'm super lay. The
Max lay, bro.
You lay,
with
bro?
the,
Yeah,
with the,
Max lay.
my question for you guys is it because they have such a short life expectancy or lifespan that
How long does a mosquito last? Like
so
a day?
they breed
Like a day.
and then they have babies, and then because they do that so many times in like compared to the human lifespan that they actually evolve a lot faster.
Oh shit, dude! Whoa, no, mosquitoes last a long time.
Holy shit, how long?
Oh, really? I thought the average lifespan for a mosquito was like less than 24
14
hours.
days.
42 to 56 days for a female and
Right.
10 days for a male. 10 days. That's a short life.
But think about how
But
many
56
generations.
days. I thought it was like a day.
Yeah,
is
I thought
that
it was
why
a
they
day.
evolve quicker though, like relative to us? Because
That would be a question.
evolution
for a
happens from.
evolutionary biologist.
Is that what is? Yeah.
I mean,
guess
I don't
that's-
know. It like time's relative to your size, right? So maybe it has something to do with that. Like they're just smaller, and so just like the fucking time's going real quick.
Right. Then they're like, "Zzz," but like actually to them, they're like,
Yeah. Like when they reach 56 days, they're like,
I'm
they're all
ready
saying like
to-
back in
I'm-
my day.
Back
Like,
in my
they're telling
day, yeah.
fucking stories. They're
They're-
telling war
yeah.
stories.
They're just
Yeah.
tired of living.
yeah.
Here's another really interesting story. This is actually pretty wild. This right here is an image of the best preserved mummy in the
Whoa.
world. That
Yeah, isn't this crazy?
that 15-year-old teenage girl died over
Dude, I saw
500
this.
years ago.
I saw this on I saw this on I think it was Medical Talks. And
yes.
Frozen.
and I saw the
Yes.
they put up the image on the left and it
So for-
looks like that human is
Yeah.
alive.
For people who are just listening, we're looking at a photo. We're looking at two photos of a mummy that they've named the Maiden. She's a 15-year-old teenage girl, died more than 500 years ago in a ritual sacrifice in the Andes Mountains. And this the image is this woman sitting on almost like a hospital bed with a scientist kind of peering over top of her. I think it looks like he's kind of like cleaning her hair or something, but it literally just looks like a woman sitting cross-legged on a bed. And
She looks alive.
yes, yeah, like
I know.
very much alive. So she's dressed in fine clothes and given corn alcohol to put them to sleep. The girl and two other children were left on a mountaintop to succumb to the cold as offerings to the gods at an elevation of 22,000 feet.
Isn't that wild that was like a belief was like, hey, let's offer
These humans.
these
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah, and that was how crazy is that as a way to sacrifice someone by bringing them to the peak of a mountain in just the element of like the wild, getting them like sleep drunk and just letting them freeze, like letting
Yeah.
them just fucking
That's
letting
the worst.
It's actually one of the worst ways to die, according
freeze?
to a
top 10 list.
to a top 10 list. This one specific way, this like one specific
You mean like even with the sleepy
Sacrifice.
pills and stuff?
yeah, I'm sure it's not fun. I'm sure being dragged up there.
No, I mean
knowing,
no. I mean, is that included in the worst way?
No.
no,
Just
well,
freezing
well,
to
no,
death.
just
Just freezing to death
just
is
the
what you mean.
notion of it. No, like there was a top 10 list, and it specifically said being sacrificed in this way was a part of the top 10 list.
Oh,
Freezing.
ritualistic
Ritualistic
sacrification.
sacrification, being brought to a top of a mountain and left there to the
Wow,
element.
that's so specific.
I know. Yeah.
Is that from top10.org?
It actually might have been an episode of stuff you should know.
That
I
makes
believe
sense.
that
That
was,
sounds. I believe stuff you should know.
I really do too. Like there's stuff you should know is fucking.
I know.
on
I'm being
point.
totally serious.
Yeah,
Stuff you
yeah.
should know
Yeah,
is
stuff you should know
definitely
is amazing.
very
I
credible.
also believe top10list.org.
So anyway, according to the archaeologists who found the mummified remains, that's 22,000 feet. That's where they sort of left this girl.
22,000 feet. What is that? That's
22,080 feet.
7,000 meters. Wait,
A
what?
little
I
higher.
don't know if there's any.
Well, it says here.
That's interesting. I don't think there's any mountains that
at
are
an
that
elevation
high
of
in South
22,080 feet, according to the archaeologists who found the mummified remains just below a mountain summit in Argentina in 1999. Capacaca ceremonies were practiced by the Inca. Some of them could be undertaken as a result of key events of the Inca Empire, such as the birth of sons, an illness, etc. And some were held in order to stop a natural disaster. Archaeologists believe that the children had been picked a year ahead of their sacrifice. During this year, they got special treatment, indicated by the sudden change in their diets. For about 6 months.
Did they tell them, or were they like, hey?
Guys-
Probably. I mean, I would say they were like, we're going to sacrifice you. This is all part of our culture, but you're going to get a fucking sick year beforehand.
They couldn't have told them because they'd be like, see ya.
No, but you don't know that. Culturally, they may, I mean.
Might have been an honor.
Did you not watch Midsummer? Like,
Yeah.
Midsummer's like,
but
it's part of our culture. We go up here and we jump and die.
The human
That's a
human
fictional
condition to survive
I
is strong.
I agree with you to an
Valhalla.
extent, but yeah, dude, like actually though, yeah,
Actually,
like,
I'm
that
serious.
culturally, it like going to battle to die with honor, or even not even going to battle to die with
I
honor,
guess if you believe
being
it,
asked to die and doing it honorably, like that was culturally, that was
What-
a huge part of the
Yeah.
Vikings.
What do you guys think happened? So like that one of the examples there was like if there was like sickness in the family, then they were like, oh, like next new moon we need to sacrifice the kids or something. And so do you think that they, as soon as like modern medicine evolved in that community, that that day that they discovered like, oh fuck, actually we know what this is, we could have cured this illness, that they were like mega bummed out
no.
that they had been sacrificing family members?
Hey, you know what? You might have been right there, Tay, though. I just kept reading. So for about 6 months, and shortly before their death, she was given a large amount of alcohol in the form of a drink known as chicha. Chicha.
Think about all the evidence that we have
hold
to
on.
change the minds of people who believe things that are crazy,
So
and they still believe that.
Right.
a fermented drink made from corn and forced to chew coca leaves. Other children found next to her, a 4-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy, were also given the drugs in smaller quantities. Scientists believe that alcohol and narcotic coca leaves were given to make them more docile,
Taylor, do you
driving
remember?
them into a stupor and possibly even in unconsciousness. And this is supported by the relaxed sitting position by which the Inca girl was found and untouched artifacts nearby.
I feel like they wrote this a little bit misleadingly because they say narcotic coca leaf, but like a coca leaf does not get you high. I've chewed coca leaves.
But it's a stimulant though, is it not?
I mean,
Like coffee.
It's like coffee, if that. It's not.
But what if you ate like wads of it?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Taylor, do you
What
remember
if you boofed it?
Is that smoking it out of your butt?
Shoving it up your butt?
Could be
Well,
more
maybe
powerful like that.
Maybe.
Taylor, do you remember when we were on the side of the road in Peru and we just pulled over for a bus stop for some reason, and I drank corn alcohol from the guys on the side of the road?
No, I don't remember that.
It was immediately after I did it.
think I remember the stop that you're talking about.
I did it. It was like a little hut on the side of the road. Somebody had stopped for a pee or something, and I got in, and the locals were there, and they came up with this like offering of like, well, I didn't know what it was. They didn't speak English, but I drank it.
I mean, fuck, when in Rome.
And I immediately had that thought that was like, oh no, did I just put
Kerosene?
no, like, you know, like when you're in like a foreign country traveling and you
Sure.
like
Yeah.
you like have like fresh fruit or drink the water or something, you're like,
Yeah.
oh
You're like,
no,
oh no.
am I gonna immediately get sick and regret this? But what I thought it was like tea, but it was I knew immediately that it was alcohol, and I was like, oh fuck, that's intense. But maybe that's not a bad thing because maybe the alcohol killed the bacteria or whatever's
Yeah.
in it. But
Maybe.
yeah.
Perhaps
I didn't get sick. Well, actually, I did.
In this case, interestingly, they found that the protein profile from the mummy of the teenage girl was similar to that of a chronic respiratory infection in patients.
Whoa.
And the DNA analysis showed the presence of a probably pathogenic bacteria in the genus Mycobacterium, responsible for upper respiratory tract infections and TB.
Whoa.
So the alcohol didn't really help there.
But she didn't die from TB.
She didn't. She died from being frozen.
Man, that would suck.
But she definitely showed signs of a lung infection at the time of her death. So it extra sucky.
Dude,
right?
Dying, freezing.
Yeah.
Dying, freezing, or burning to death? What's your poison?
Freezing.
You?
Do you even have to think of that?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, dude, freezing, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't do that to yourself.
I understand what you. Don't do either to yourself.
Don't do
obviously,
that.
but
Yeah,
like,
dude, die freezing.
there's definitely an argument for both because
because actually,
freezing,
according to stuff you should know, it's
oh really?
Burning is way worse.
And
Because-
top 10 list.
Because
so-
burning is going to be way faster.
Way faster, far more painful,
No, I know, but there's an argument to be made that one might
and not as
prefer
and
the
probably not as
quick
fast
route.
as you think.
I mean, probably pretty quick. I
I
mean,
mean,
you
it's
ever-
56 days apparently.
Have
It's
you
the
ever-
same length
Dude.
of time that a female mosquito
Dude.
lives.
Have you ever burned your thumb on a lighter?
yeah, I have.
How much
Dude,
did that
that's the
hurt?
No, I
worst,
know.
dude. That's the worst.
No, I know, but that's like the same way that a paper cut can be way worse than like, cutting yourself with a knife. It's just annoying.
I don't know.
At least with freezing to death, you get some like hallucinations. You get to like there's euphoria involved.
You actually feel warm.
yeah, there's euphoria that comes with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you?
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There's like a whole it's a whole stage. I mean, there's a sucky stage, but then there's like a not so sucky stage.
What about drowning versus the other two?
Oh,
Uh,
I'd drown for
I
sure.
would actually probably burn or freeze before I
Dude,
drown.
drowning's so fast.
Apparently, it's the absolute worst.
Dude, I'm
it's,
sure it sucks.
It's higher. It's
Hey, Wait,
I'm sure it's horrific.
Wait, why? What makes drowning so bad?
I forget. I'll listen back to that episode, the worst
mean,
ways to die, and we can talk about it next
Drowning
week.
and burning to death. I mean, it would be the panic, the pain and well, there'd be no. I don't think pain.
It's
I guess.
apparently drowning is extraordinarily painful.
See, I'd just hold my breath until I passed out.
Yeah, me too.
But you wouldn't really pass out that way because no, this is a part of it. So when when you hold your breath long enough and you start having those like spasms where it's like it's almost like you're
I haven't held my breath that long in a long time.
I'd always do it in the pool.
you know what I'm talking about? You know
Yeah,
that
yeah.
feeling of like where it feels like your diaphragm's
Yeah.
almost going like that. That's once that starts to happen, you are like moments away from
just drinking in water.
instinctively, not even like even if you tried your hardest, instinctively before you pass out, you're gonna take a huge breath in, and that's where the pain comes. Like that's the pain train.
Drowning in your lungs. Drown.
It's apparently like a deep burn. You know when you like
No,
when
but
you
it's got to be fast though.
it's not at all. I don't think. I think
It's faster than burning and it's faster than freezing.
I would rather be burned alive than buried alive because if I was
yeah.
burned alive and set on fire and I could move around freely, the pain would suck, but I'd be like,
oh, for
I'd
fuck's
be able
sakes.
to like,
Fuck me, man. I just Googled how long does it take to drown, and immediately I got help is available. Speak with someone today. Talk Suicide Canada and a number. That's all it gave me.
There's no
I
other.
can't
There's
even-
no other search results. I mean, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's great, but I would like to know the fuck.
Just add to the end of your Google search. Just curious.
Just yeah. It's for a school project.
doing research,
God damn it.
asking for a friend.
Yeah. I mean,
Who is also just curious.
I got to go back and listen. I got to go back and listen to that episode because it is quite. They do go quite deep into everything that happens. But anyway, when you take a drink of water and it goes down the wrong hole.
Yeah.
And then you start like
yeah.
you aspirate. So when you aspirate, apparently,
It sucks.
yes, but apparently nothing is actually getting down into your lungs.
Mhm, right.
It's just the reflex of like trying to keep it from doing that.
Mhm.
Once it passes that barrier and it actually gets down into the lungs, it's apparently just like
This
unbearably
Because
painful.
freezing to death would be like you might be a whole day.
I searched
Yeah.
why does drowning to death suck, and Quora is delivering on the goods
Let's
with
go, Cora.
is drowning a painful way to die. Ernest Foltz said, I love how the personal experience in the comment of people who have been through it is that it's not painful. Who's drowned to death in the comments? It says, and how the scientific and medical opinions of people who haven't been through it is that it's painful. It kind of makes you ponder the question, is science and medicine corrupted by media and television?
God, I love Cora so much.
Oh my God. I love how
Lord.
that's the conclusion that this person
I
draws.
just got to give you one more answer from this, because this one has the headline in capital letters in the first sentence, do not do this. And then it says, as someone who almost drowned, no, it's not painful. It felt like peace, like if all my problems were gone. And it seemed like as if I could breathe underwater. At one point, I even thought I was a fish. Even the sound of water was relaxing. Reminder, I only experienced a few seconds of drowning, like 4. If you fully drown, it will suck, hurt, and burn your lungs at the same time.
Yeah.
And then it said, don't do this.
Yeah, don't.
Everyone has different experiences on drowning. Very few lucky people had the same as me. Edit. I didn't expect this comment to blow up. Keep in mind that I only experienced a few seconds and did not die.
Does he just mean that he had his head underwater?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he took
This
a
is
bath.
all-
He
this
took a
was-
bath and just went,
Dude, this is really funny. This side note, this was also experienced in my childhood, so my mind may have made this up.
oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
I replied
yeah.
in
Dreaming.
the thought that this was only a question and nothing else. I will delete this if it turns out a different way than what it was intended for.
All right, well, let's
This
move
website
on.
sucks.
Cora is always great. Let's just move right on. I have one more thing that maybe we'll wait till next week, but I want to talk about the capacity of the human brain, but we'll do that next week.
Oh wait, how many memories?
How
we
many
actually have?
terabytes we can jam into our fucking noggins?
Right,
Oh, it was like 2,500.
Something crazy.
It was 2,500
petabyte.
petabytes or something.
Yeah. But instead,
petabytes.
we'll wait for next week to dive into that, and because I gotta go to sleepy. But we'll wrap it up with this episode's segment of What the Hell.
Oh.
So I'm gonna read to you this report, and I don't want you to confuse it with something almost identical that happened last year. It's a different story.
Okay.
Elderly French man inserts World War I era bomb up his ass and causes an evacuation.
We almost certainly
Almost certainly
covered a similar story.
and very
last year.
different story. A hospital in the city of Toulon in southern France was evacuated in a panic Saturday after an 88-year-old patient, I repeat, 88-year-old patient, arrived with an explosive surprise. A World War I era artillery shell inserted straight up his arse, according to a French media outlet, Var Matin.
This is great because I can reuse the thumbnail that I used for last Feel Good Friday episode where we talked about a similar topic, because I made a rocket launcher with a silver butt plug coming out of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
thought that
Now,
was,
I want to just say,
that was
this,
good.
this thing is not small, okay?
Okay. Holy shit.
That is
What's that, like a
quite large.
That's it's like not quite a gag dildo.
I mean, that's like 8,
But
like I would say that's probably like 8 inches around.
It's like
You know,
it
like
would be like if you saw that dick on a person, you'd be like, dude, you got a piece.
You know, it's funny.
No,
piece
if I
on
saw a dick, if I saw someone's dick and it looked like that, I would go,
I feel sorry.
Ah!
I would go, ah!
No, I mean
Oh, no!
that's not like, dude. I mean, look at the hand.
Dude,
that is
that
a
thing-
hog.
Dude, that thing probably weighs 48 pounds.
No, I'm not talking about the weight of it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if it was a dick.
It's girthy and
It's
long.
girthy, yeah. It's girthy and long.
You know what? You know what is interesting about that though? The thing that makes me feel a lot better about seeing that, it is big, but compared to the Christmas decorations episode that we recently did, where they were putting hook-shaped shit in their butts, like I could see how somebody
Yeah,
who's a bit curious might see the shape of that object and go,
it's very phallic.
I wonder what that might feel like.
yeah,
to me."
Yeah.
like harken back to the rock glass.
You know, it's
Yeah.
actually
It's not a rock glass.
That's right. Yeah. And actually, I will say that picture is actually misleading. This is not that much larger than my own penis. The bombshell discovery is what
That's what I'm
was
saying,
revealed
dude.
to be over 20 centimeters long. So that's just over 7 inches, and over 5 centimeters
See?
wide.
That's
So 8
wide.
inches long and 2 inches wide.
Oh, sorry. I thought
2
you.
inches
Oh,
wide.
sorry. I thought you said 8 inches
Now
long
it
and
just-
7 inches
Now it
wide.
just
I was
sounds like we
wait,
all.
what?
Now it just sounds like we all have really small
Hey,
dicks.
wait, well, welcome to the artillery.
Hey
Well-
guys,
well-
I was the first one to say that it didn't look that big.
Yeah. So anyway, this thing got loaded up in the wrong kind of chamber, if you know what I mean. It caused an evacuation of the hospital. So this guy got brought in. Doctors saw it and they panicked and they evacuated the pediatric and emergency hospital.
That's way too much. That's too much.
Artillery shells were widespreadly used in the First World War and was responsible for countless deaths, including on the harsh battlefields of France. Luckily, however, it seems that this elderly enthusiast of early 20th century explosive ordnance was not in possession of a live explosive, thank God, as bomb disposal experts concluded that the artillery shell wasn't going to explode inside his asshole, according to Var Matin.
Wouldn't that be?
Can you imagine how annoyed you'd be being like showing up in a bomb suit going, fuck.
No, you
I
probably
gotta
be like,
I
"This
gotta
is
like
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd be annoyed. I think I'd be annoyed that I have to check to see if a bomb is explosive inside an 80 or
Well, no, they would have
dude's
removed.
ass.
They would have removed it. They would have removed it first. I think.
No.
No, they left it in 'em?
No, they evacuated the hospital and left it in until someone could come and verify that it was that it was not going to blow the fucking hospital up.
It'd be really funny if they send in one of those little remote control robots and like he was in the room left on his own because
Yeah.
everybody bailed, and they
Yeah.
send in the little bomb control robot and it like drives down the hall and it's like slowly turning around the corner and it comes into the room, and then on like the speaker on the thing he's like, sir, excuse me, we're gonna have to assess this. Can you just bend over
do it in a
and
French accent?
can you just spread your cheeks? And they have to like guide him through the process that the little bomb sniffing robot can like
Sniff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
remove the thing. That would be pretty funny. That would be a good movie scene.
It would be a better movie scene
What's
if
the
the
whole
bomb
movie
blew up.
about?
If the bomb blew up.
It's
Like that's a better scene.
it's like I mean, you could ask the same question about what was that movie, 126 Hours or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
The guy's just stuck in the same place the entire time. I mean, you could do 126 hours.
Yeah. I
just
know. I think it was
this guy.
128.
Well, yeah.
128. I mean,
Right.
they relied
128 days later.
they relied on a lot of flashbacks. I think in that movie.
Right.
And yeah, he was talking to himself a
So,
lot too. I
don't
think.
you
Yeah, he was.
Don't you think that the flashbacks of like him being in the war and like looking at the shell as he like
He wasn't in the
loads it
war.
as he just shut up as he loads the shell into the artillery cannon, he's just like caressing it
World War I
softly as he
happened
like
110
inserts it in and he's
years
like
ago.
he's like licking his lips.
Are
and then-
you saying artillery cannon like as in replacement for asshole?
Yeah, no. I mean like he's actually
yeah,
funneling it into
Yeah.
the cannon and he's just thinking about like someday I want to get my hands
Ryan's
on one
really
of these.
good friends with Slavin now, and they're putting
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
putting together a new flip.
So again, this wasn't the first artillery shell found inside someone's butthole. Just over a year ago in December 2021, a man came into the Gloucestershire Royal Hospital in UK with a 6 centimeter by 17 centimeter. Now,
17
hold
wide.
on. Yeah, I mean that's what that reads like. That's crazy.
It was a short
But he fell on that one. That's what he said. Now the veracity of that claim was unknown, but he said he fell on it. I think this guy in France was like,
I put it
"Well,
in
yeah,
my
I
ass.
put it up in my ass.
I would hazard a guess that there's like some sort
Right.
of form online and these
No, he's
guys
French. He's not from
Well,
Quebec.
wah.
do you think these
Sorry,
guys
I just drove from Montreal, so that's all I got in my head. Is
do you
wah,
guys
wah.
think that these guys knew each other and possibly read the same sort of information?
Dude, they probably
about it?
fought together in the war, and you know,
That could be the flashback scene. He
That was
like
it,
passes
yeah.
him the artillery
Whoa.
shell
Like,
as the other guy loads
They're
it in.
lovers.
dude, 100%. This is Brokeback Mountain from the war.
But they
So
could
like
never,
they found love together on the
but
battlefield.
because
and
of the
then-
times, they could not confess their love to one another because it felt they were going to be like
This is the movie.
too shit on.
That's the
and
movie,
ostracized.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the movie.
And I just
Dude,
love
fuck
that
yeah.
scene of like passing that, just yeah,
Two hands doing it together, like
yeah.
two hands.
Like
Just
two, like
great-
two
like
hands that
grazing.
are oddly moisterized for like being
And
in
smooth,
war.
yeah.
Dude,
And like everybody else around them is covered in dirt, but like they're just
Mm.
their hands are
Yeah,
so
like they're in
clean.
the trenches, but they're all just squeaky clean.
Yeah.
They're in the trenches, that's for sure. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed. We will be back next week with lots of fun stuff, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And in the meantime, if you want to support the podcast, you can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can rate the podcast on the Spotify mobile app. And if you want to support further, come join us over on Discord. Having lots of fun conversations over there. We'd love to see ya.
And if you have anything that you want to let us know about, letters at sickboypodcast.com. Send us your fan mail. Send us your quirky, weird stories.
Send us photos of your artillery shells.
If you want.
We're not asking explicitly for them, but if you sent them,
If you have any artillery at home,
if you have
send
any
us.
artillery, if you have any actual artillery, send us photos of it. Letters at sickboypodcast.com. And if you want to be a guest on the show, as always, sickboypodcast.com/contact and fill out the form.
And thanks as always to the folks who put up with us and also work with us. A huge thank you to Jeff Lonis and to Rich O'Coin for the theme music on this episode. We love you guys both.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.